What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today I've got a real cool throwback that's a few years old now. This is an RJ Martin Shirogorov collab, Soft Overkill, or Russian Overkill, ROK, and they call them Soft because, well, it's Micarta, which is awesome. So we're going to talk about this. I've got the other two knives in the SOK series with me today, and actually a bunch of them. So I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to be showing them all or kind of separately talking about them. I'll probably end up showing them all, let's be honest. But we're going to talk about this knife today, which is awesome. So I've been looking for a mint set of these, and I finally grabbed one. So we're going to review it. As a reminder, though, check out my website, bladezilla.ca, where a lot of the knives on this channel are featured, including just got a bunch of F3s in. The new Hattie Black, the F95 NL, restocked on that. And I have added a pre-owned section as well. So some higher end stuff tends to hit the pre-owned, more special editions, collabs, etc. So where to get started on this? I'm already putting fingerprints on the back of it. So may as well enjoy this while it's beautiful and stunning. So let's get started on this. Let's get some weights, some measurements, and let's talk about it. As a reminder, this is a total informal kind of chat, so don't stress too much about what I say. Half of it's probably wrong, but in the spirit, some of it's probably right. Okay, well, we are coming in at 8 3/4 based on my dollar store tape measure. Highly accurate. Blade length of 4 to the center of the choil. Sharp end is a little less, maybe 3 3/4. Handle 4 3/4. Now, the beauty of this is that, so there's only a certain number of these, and they are individually marked on the inside of the frame somewhere. Usually it's on the heel, or I think it's on the heel on this one. And I want to say, for some reason I have 300 in my head for the whole series. This is number 22. So I think there's 100 of each flavor. They run on Shirogorov's in-house single row roller bearings, which, if we look at a regular knife, think of them as like a roller bearing is their single row bearing. It's a standard bearing on a track. The multi-row bearings is kind of like a 3-ball pinwheel in a circle. Then we get into the roller bearings, which are these. And they're typically kind of reserved for their custom division knives and even some of their full customs. And then there's the double row roller bearings, which are found on mostly customs, or almost exclusively customs, which are, kind of the roller bearings cut in half, positioned in a layout. So pretty cool. RJ Martin is kind of known for their beefy kind of hunting look to their knife, and this is no exception. It's thick, it's beefy, and this has some serious smooth action to it. Good grip, good jimping. Much like all the other RJs I've had experience with, this is just a beautiful, beautiful knife. Action is nuts. And then here's the other thing, like with RJs, I always like to show this because they have a very solid detent on them. And they're tuned so that you don't really fail them when you fire them. So I'm going to pull back, and you can see how the blade's flexing. So that's by design. And you notice that through the whole different series, that it likes to launch so that they don't fail when you open them. So super cool. Now this guy as well, you can see a couple things here. We've got the custom division bit, reverse bit in the micarta up top. Then on the back, we've got the standard regular size bit, which is just a thing of beauty. This particular one has never been opened or touched. You'd see it. Clip, never carried. No wear on this. The, I believe the pivot hardware should match the clip and the back spacer, so kind of got a nice dark blue ano on this one, which matches the back spacer, which then should match the pivot there. Beautiful. Love the details on this. Now I'm going to show you a couple other RJ Martin series, okay? Let's get into that. That's going to be fun. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I don't know how this is going to work with my little miniature cutting board, but we'll try our best to show a couple. So obviously we're going to start with the Green Canvas Micarta. We are going to go to the Red Canvas Micarta, which is this guy here. So more of a maroon kind of look to it. Another great example. All three are M398. This one almost looks a little darker than you'd expect, but you've got a purple clip, back spacer, and then that pivot ring as well. Great looking knife. So we're gonna let's try to get these as close without touching. And then we've got our Black Canvas Micarta, which now you can tell it's actually black. So this should have a light blue backspacer and clip. Same thing, M398, solid, super smooth on the roller bearings. So there's your three, soft overkills. Okay, and then we had our Russian overkill, which you probably would have seen on the channel by now. I've had this in a few different videos. There you go. And this is full tie. Still frame lock. But I think it's M398 still in this, or was it S90? I can't remember. But I'm looking, there we go. Right in there, I should say M398. There you go. So that's your full tie Russian overkill, and I find this one a little softer on the detent than the other three. Then we did our RQ36, which is highly sought after because it's not a liner lock. Or sorry, what am I talking about here? It is a liner lock. Duh. Which is based on their Q36. And the beauty of this one is it has S110V, which is pretty uncommon for a collab piece. So obviously liner lock, not a frame lock. So pretty cool. This is more like an SS, I'd say. And then we had our Molten Overkill, which I'm sure you've seen by now. I've got a few of these hanging around. Magna Cut, first time Shirogorov used one, or Magna Cut, instead of some of the other stuff, and as well the first time they're kind of putting an inlay into the piece, which just looks phenomenal. Beautiful. Beautiful action on that one. So there's your RJ Martin kind of overview, Shirogorov collaboration, and I think I'm not going to go into a bunch of the others in terms of all the other pieces and bits and whatever. I think these are kind of the collab you'd actually want to see if you're watching this video, so I'll kind of leave it at that and kind of get back to the Green Canvas Micarta piece here. Alright, so let's put these guys back to their homes and talk more about that Green Canvas Micarta, which is a thing of beauty. Although, if we just get kind of a little layout here, it is nice to kind of see in a central kind of pattern on these guys what all three look like. Anytime I do a video, people are always wishing that there was like a series kind of discussion around them. As far as I know, there's not a whole lot difference between these two. And I'm sure someone will jump in and correct me and say, this is what's wrong, blah, 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 which is cool. But from my perspective, I find the action on all three very similar. And just the general feel, fit, finish, all that, all top of the line. So absolute works of art. All M398, which is cool. Which is super cool, actually. Now, ooh, I love that action. It just hammers out. So in hand, we obviously have that pronounced ridge, which they all kind of have on the top of the handle, which just feels so good. I love the color of this micarta. I'm going to say, like, green. I love the green. If you're a maroon guy, I get it. You like the purple and the back. Everything matches. It's a nice piece, and the black is more subtle. But man, that green looks good. I think this one would get dirtier pretty quick, but it would also kind of wear in nicely too. You can kind of see the curve on the milling on it too, which is kind of awesome. I love seeing that. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Anyway, back onto it. So yeah, nice, excellent feel to it. Liner lock, just great in hand, heavy action. The blade is nice and smooth right down the top on the spine. And then at the end you can kind of see it tapers off if it wants to focus. Like that. Just nice and smooth. Good attention to detail. Shirogorov logo is on the blade as well. We've kind of got a bit of a polished flat and like a mirrored edge on this. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. But there's a mirrored edge on this guy, which is just beautiful. Polished flats, it's like a Shirogorov thing that they like to do on a lot of their collaboration pieces. Oh man, that feels so good. We've got a fairly light lockup on this inset liner, which is beautiful. Just beautiful. Nice smooth action. It is raised as well. I always like to show this. When I roll this guy up, you see how the engagement mechanism is just right here I'm talking about. See how it's just sitting a little bit higher than the other side? That's a beautiful feature because your finger just finds it so smooth. Now, I do like when they kind of add a little machining here, like on the Tom Mayo Dr. Death, but I think you only really need to do that on like a thinner frame knife. You don't really need it here because your finger finds it pretty easily with all that room there. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I just happen to have it right here. This is what I'm referring to. See how you have this little groove pin in? So that when you access that lock, see how it's just a little easier to get? I think that's a nice feature on the Tom Mayo stuff. Another collaboration piece that are becoming extremely difficult to find. But this is beautifully done. Perfectly centered, and I will say this, let's flip it around here. I will say this, they really add emphasis to the centering on these. And here's another thing you'll look at too, like not only is it centered, but like the backspacer on the other side, they add this little exaggerator on how centered it is. So as I was kind of getting to anyway, the blade grind, you'll see on some of them, they'll be like, oh, mine doesn't go all the way to the end there. That's what she said. But that's because they're all hand ground. And sometimes the blade length varies ever so slightly. So sometimes that's filled up a little more, sometimes it's a little shorter. But it's pretty cool. Now underneath as well, not many people talk about this. Gotta be careful here. If I can show this. Let's grab my little light. I think we have a track on the inside here. Yes, we do. So that it's not just the tip that gets centered and shown off. It's actually underneath the backspacer too, and it's a little longer. So hopefully you can see on the inside there. You see underneath the backspacer there's that like center channel, as well as up towards the middle of the knife there, there's also another center channel. That's a detail they don't need to do. But it's so bloody cool when they do that. It's all skeletonized as well now that I'm looking inside here, which saves weight, all titanium, super strong, durable, corrosion resistant interiors, tie hardware, etc. You're not going to have problems with this. The only problem that you're going to have with this is how much attention the ladies give you when they see that green canvas. They go, oh, man, this guy's got good taste. I'm obviously kidding, because women carries these too. Everyone carries these. It's just I will say this too, like the RJ Martin collab pieces from Shiro are a lot of the time like one of the entry points a lot of people get into in that collaboration world, because you know sometimes people use them to carry them and they let them go for cheap, you know, because they're beat up and whatever. And this is right now. I'm filming this in 2023 at the end of the year, and I don't know if this video is going to stand the test of time. But, you know, a mint condition one, you know, you're probably in $2,000 US. Maybe more, depending on the buyer, 2.1, 2.2. I can see that. I think Recon 1 recently blew a couple out at 2.2. However, sometimes they hit the secondary used, with like different scales for like 1.5, 1.6, which is cheap for any knife with roller bearings. And that's where most people are like, hey, I want to try a Shiro. I've got an F95T or a Quantum, and I really want to try what roller bearings feel like. And they end up in the Soft Overkill, which is a great piece. Like I'm telling you, it's a great piece, and it's a perfect example of what excellent action feels like. It truly is. You get that beautiful clip. You get a really nice texture. I feel like this one has, I think, more texture than the other two. I don't know why that is, but it just feels a little grippier. You can see it's like milled out nicely with some nice layers on it. It's put together just like a $2,000 knife should be put together, in that the tolerances are high-end aerospace. Balance, I haven't checked this, but I'll do it over my finger. You're perfectly balanced right behind the pivot. Oh, that's what I wanted to look at. It was where that tab is. So tab is a little bit back of center. Well, maybe not by the time your finger's actually on it. And I always talk about this. So depending on where the ratio is above the pivot, if you're ahead of it, it's going to fire right out. If you're behind it, it's going to be a slower deploy. If you're on top of it, it's nice and balanced. A lot of people really like it kind of in the middle or forward. I like just about anything. Well, let's be honest. M398 should be written on the blade somewhere. Let's see if we can find that. There we go. Just like the other one. Written inside. Excellent steel. Very similar to like an S90V. For reference. That thing just floats home. I love like that detent flex you get on this, where you just like, and then boom, just hammers out. Very smooth. We do have a lanyard hole in the back here, if that's something that you do want. And I always show this knife in the video, but maybe I'll use this one actually. So it's a little unsightly looking at it because you can see through it. And that's a bit of a knock. Much like my Stellar, which I show, right? Same thing. They do that on there too. So you see through it. Now, on the F95s, they're starting to integrate the back spacer, and they've been doing it for a while, so that from the side, you don't see any holes. It's just nice and smooth. But that lanyard hole is kind of just tucked in the back of the back spacer. So that's kind of what they're doing. But remember, that's a new version. And there's nothing wrong with this. I actually find this a little beefier, and it's more in line with obviously the RJ Martin design. Like it's their design. They're just Shiro's making it. I like how you can see the little bear on the blade. That's such a nice little touch that I love. And I always talk, sometimes, I don't want to see the bear on the blade because it's going to cut it off and you're going to use it and it's going to wear it out. You know what? I'm fine with it here because it's etched in. Same with the RJM on the back. In case you don't know, it stands for RJ Martin. I would hope you know that if you're watching the video, but yes, RJ Martin. I've seen a few RJ pieces actually, which is pretty cool because they'll write that logo, RJM, or RJ Martin actually, up here on this side, and then on the back side, it's flipped like an ambulance would be. It's pretty cool to match. I think they did that on a couple pieces. Nice little detail though. What else? So I haven't really talked about the clip actually. The clip is single-sided, and it might look like it's not, but it's actually leaning to one side. If you want to look down there, it has a little side that leans on one side, which is nice. So it's not pinching the full width of that clip. It's very thin. We have a cutout on the micarta on the back here. That's 3D milled into it, which is just one more detail they don't have to do. But it gives you room for your jeans or sweatpants. Or with this color, maybe army camo denim. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, there's room for it to slide back there and not make a bunch of mess. As well, it's a fairly deep clip, right? So you're looking at about that much sticking out. just enough for your lanyard to kind of poke through, and no issues. It's a nice little setup. The jimping's obviously really usable. I didn't mention that, but it's usable, and it actually carries down the knife and matches the design on the handle here, or the backspacer here. So if you look at that, 3D, and then up here, same pattern on the jimping. Some people, there's been complaints. Some people don't like this here. I really don't mind it. It just matches kind of like a standard RJ. Like, it just looks good. And gives you a little bit extra grip. If you're wearing gloves or something, just one more thing. It's usable, smooth, and you're not going to hurt yourself on it. Another touch point that people were a little concerned about when these first came out, I believe, was this little line. So the concern was, well, how come this doesn't fill all the way? And that's a valid point. I'm not sure. They're all like this. I don't really understand why they wouldn't just move that up and fill. Probably has more to do with the manufacturing than anything. But I'll tell you this, it's really not a big deal. At all. But, you know what, when you're spending this kind of money on a knife, these are the details you're allowed to critique, and critique. So yes, there's a little gap there, and not sure, maybe it has to do with the blade tolerances. I'm looking down it, it's pretty tight in there. Could they have fitted something? Maybe. Or maybe it has to do with the milling internally, because you can kind of see inside there is, you can actually see through the micarta in there as well. Hopefully you can see that on the inside there. You know what, maybe it's easy to do it this way. No, it's not, it's worse. But yeah, you can see the micarta on the inside, not a problem. Through the frame, which is a nice detail, and maybe it has to do with that. That's what my first / third, fourth, fifth reaction may have been. But because I do this in one take, you get to hear my thoughts and my rambling process on how I decide on details that may or may not be right. The reverse bit on this, the custom division bit, they're harder to find. A lot of people like to swap these scales, keep them mint, swap them for like a carbon fiber scale on the secondary. There's a couple of vendors that do it. Well, one. And yeah, some people change those out, but you have to get the right bit. I have heard people taking these off with tweezers. I've heard of people modifying brass punches. And of course, you can get the actual bit from Shirogorov in a custom division tool, which are about $600 or $650 US. You can do that too. From my perspective, if you have one knife, and if it's something you love and something you're going to use, you may as well have the right tool. The custom division tool looks like this, which is also another just absolute piece of art, and has all the bits you need inside. And it's just another one of those excellent detail all around, in-house made, carbon fiber, just works of art. I would love a pen that looks like that, honestly. The standard tool that Shiro does with the little 90-degree bend in it, also high-end, beautiful Sienkiewicz design tool. I don't have the bits for Sienkiewicz in this one, but it's great, but it doesn't have the reverse bit that you would need. So if you are going to take the scales off, you will need that, but there are workarounds. The other side here, I have mentioned this before, you can get away with like a penny, you can get away with a credit card folded on itself, but honest to God, this isn't a low-end knife. If you're going to open it up, either send it to one of the guys that do service work, send it to Shiro, or get the tool and do it right. Don't mar it up. They're surprisingly simple. There's a fella on YouTube, Fab, who's also in Canada. He does a lot of walkthroughs on these videos, or on these knives, sorry, and does a great job of just kind of showing step by step on how to, do the bearings and rebuild and clean, and, watch some of his videos on how to do it, because he's just so good at it. I'm telling you right now, if I took this apart, it might not look the same. So, send your knife to him, or Recon One, or Shirogorov, and they'd be glad to take care of you. Absolutely glad to. And then you know it's done right. But from my perspective, you know, these things aren't going to be needing rebuilt for a long time. This guy's a couple years old now and still absolutely beautiful action. Silky smooth. Mint. Love it. The flipper tab, I guess you could kind of say, is a little obtrusive. It is big, but if you follow the spine of the knife in your pocket and you follow it down, it's really not that bad. Yeah, I think what's it, Nick calls them pocket peckers. Yeah, it's fairly big, especially compared to like a Kami. You look at this guy and it's like, okay, it's very nubby, little nubbin. So yeah, it's not in the way. Whereas the RJ is a bit of a exaggeration, but that's their design. It's designed so that it hammers out. It's beautiful. Love this knife. Love all three of the series. I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of demand for the RQ36. My personal favorite, I really like the Molten Overkill because it's magna cut and I love the carbon inlay. Between the three Molten or the Soft Overkills, I really like the green. But that's my style. It's my preference. It's laid back. Looks cool. And evidently is the first of the three that I'm going to film right now. So that's funny how that works. But that is your Soft Overkill Green Micarta M398. Beautiful blue. And this guy's number 20, what did I say? 22, I think. So the Chad Reed edition. Little motocross joke for you guys. 22 Motorsports. Anyway. Okay, well that's it. One of my faves. Love it. Love it, love it. So thanks for stopping by, guys. If you have any questions, leave them below. Visit the website bladezilla.ca for any questions. Email me, message me on Instagram, TikTok, whatever you guys want. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So yeah, appreciate you guys, and have yourselves a good week. See ya.